Hello, everyone, and welcome to our Mental Health Impact Series show. Today is season 2 and episode 26. Today's topic of discussion is a successful entrepreneur raising awareness about chronic mental illness. And she is based out of Chennai, India. We're very excited for this discussion to learn more from her directly about the current state, about how stigma is perceived, and how people can access resources available in India. Before we get started, here are some common facts. According to World Health Organization, it is estimated that about 7.5% Indians suffer from some mental disorder, and predicts that by the end of this year, roughly 20% of India will suffer from mental illnesses. According to the numbers, 56 million Indians suffer from depression, and another 38 million Indians suffer from anxiety disorders. 43% Indians suffer from depression, according to Times of India. And according to World Health Organization, India is the 6th most depressed country. Today's speaker is the one and only Kaveri Zachariah. She is a design entrepreneur, full-time creative associate at Spring Marketing Capital. She's also a woman in a competitive field running her own practice. She was diagnosed with clinical depression and she chose medication as a treatment. Now she wishes to empower women to pursue their dreams despite their diagnosis. How incredible is she? Without any further ado, welcome, Kaveri. How are you doing today?
Hi, I'm good. How are you?
I'm doing very well. Thank you so much for being here, Kaveri.
Always. Thank you for giving me the opportunity.
It means so much to us that you were able to take some time and join us today and our audience. And share your insights as authentically as we can, because the goal is that whoever is watching should resonate with what is being discussed here. So we really appreciate you joining us. Why don't we start today, Kaveri, with you sharing a bit about yourself, a bit about your educational background, professional background, and what really brought you here today?
So, of course, I would love to share my journey with you. So as far as my education was concerned, I studied in a co-ed school for 9 years, then moved to an all-girls school where I did my schooling, both here in Chennai. And for my undergraduate degree, I did my visual communication at MOP Vaishnav College. And for my post-graduation, I did my Master of Fine Arts in Graphic Design at the California Institute of the Arts. And unfortunately, that was the phase where I discovered that I had chronic clinical depression. And but my course was extremely supportive, and my mentors and my even the people I was working with and living with were extremely supportive of what I was going through at that point. And they supported me in this journey of and giving me a viable option to even work and to work on my degree despite what I was going through. And then I came back and I worked in advertising for a bit, for about 5-6 odd years, and then decided to start on my own because I realized that advertising wasn't really my thing. So I wanted to integrate in the larger spectrum, basically how I can weave psychology into design practices. And because there is one thing that my mentor said when I was back at CalArts, and it is, what does mental health have to do with your design? And I wanted to answer that question exactly now. And when I started on my journey, there were a lot of, unsolicited advice, comments, remarks that were being made, because not only are you a woman in a competitive field, you kind of are an entrepreneur, which basically means you run A to Z. and the stigma around medication. Like I don't feel like there's anything shameful behind it, because if you can go ahead and tell people that you've broken an arm and you're on a paracetamol or painkillers for that, it's the same thing for the brain. And I wanted to work towards that, and this is my answer to the question, is that you can have it all. You can have it all, even you are not your trauma, and that you have trauma, and that there's a difference in that too. And we can work past it, we can co-regulate, and we can um, kind of just mobilize ourselves in any way possible, even during the days that are the darkest. I continue to take my own path, because when everything walked out on me, my work did not, my creativity did not, and it stood by me. And even like during the worst phases of my life, like where I have chronic clinical depression and anxiety disorder, and I'm still on medication, and they still haven't figured out the right formulation yet. So because of the obvious cases that your brain chemicals keep changing as you keep evolving. And let me tell you, post-COVID depression, guys, it's there. Like I would actually ask whoever has been diagnosed with coronavirus to kind of go to therapy or run like mental health checks on yourselves, or through a professional, because it's important that you notice the signs as soon as possible. And for people who have mental health disorders, and corona does, at least in my experience, can't speak for the collective, but in my experience did heighten it. So that complicated my mental health case even more. So yeah, so even that's where I got to where I am today, is by resting and not quitting when you're sick, and honoring your body. And even though it's very difficult for someone with a type A personality and who's a go-getter to rest, and that was my challenge personally. And to live with something like this, you are always, I think, doubting yourself. And um, I would say keep the doubts. Maybe they're leading to something else, and you don't have to know the answers all right away. And if you feel off, take a mental health day off. And that's, I really feel that's one thing that has to be normalized. And because they're two separate like fields about this, or they're two separate like practices about this, which is, I have to say, like when I was working as a full-time associate, Spring was the most supportive organization that I have ever worked for when it came to mental health. They were the most informed, and like they made an effort to like kind of make me feel like super safe. And I felt so grateful to kind of come into the space. And whereas when you are on your own, it's very different. You got to fight even harder. Like you get questions like, oh, you're depressed, how are you working? Like, like, oh, you're on medication, aren't you thinking clearly? Or like or things like, like, okay, you have seizures, like how are you able to work? And the key is that like all of them are valid, they come from like very honest perspectives. But I guess it's just that right now there are no answers. It's just that if it happens, it happens. And I think one thing that I would say is show up for your emotions, and like everything else will show up for you. Because even if you're sad, honor it. Like it's okay. Like you can't suppress one emotion and then expect to feel the other. They work hand in hand, they come from the same place, and that's something I've learned. So if I'm having a down day, like I tell myself that it's okay to cry, and I cry it out, which takes a lot of courage, especially when you have like a history of having multiple, say, or leading towards suicidal like attempts or suicidal thoughts. And get help immediately. This is not a joke. Even if people don't understand, there are helplines, and which I will kind of drop. And for people who want support, I would give you a couple of numbers of where you can reach out to. Knowing your right therapist, like that is one thing I would raise awareness about, I think. So yeah, that's who I am, and this is what I want to talk about. Basically, like being a design entrepreneur and suffering with the chronic mental illness, which impacts my work because my hands shake all the time. So every time I'm on the mouse, I'm just like, so like, and I can't work, but so I'll be like, okay, fine, let's rest. Like, I get it. Like, let's rest for a bit. And then I end up finishing it, because that's the key. Show up for your emotions. Show up. It's okay. Like, rest. You're going to do it. Like, you're going to do it. So show up for it first. Just be like, if my hand is shaking, my body is shaking, rest. Or if you feel like you need to get out, or if you're more of an active person with a higher metabolism, go for a walk and treat yourself, honor yourself at that point, be selfish, and then come back to this. You will heal. So like, that's something that I would probably tell everybody for sure. And yep, that's about me.
What a journey, Kaveri.
Oh, yes. Like, and I really feel like COVID honestly has taught me a lot about mental health and issues that I never knew I had, because we were in a lockdown, and that's when we had to sit with ourselves, not a very fun thing to do. So, and I discovered the heights of being depressed and what your body can do, how your body can actually physically shut down. And that's why I keep saying, do not let suicidal thoughts persist, because your mind is a very powerful tool, and there is a chance of it shutting down. So I would say, get help ASAP. And for people who are suffering towards suicidal thoughts, there's one thing my doctor told me that changed my life, and it is, there is no proof that the suffering would end after the act is done. You don't know where the soul goes. How do you know? You're just not in your body, but your soul is still wandering. It's your mind that is still wandering. There's no proof this suffering would end. You're just leaving your body. So there's no evidence that the suffering would end. So that, I think, is one thing that changed my life. I'm like, that's not an answer. So what is an answer? It also kind of made me realize, getting to this a different spiritual perception towards suicide awareness is, maybe there are parts of you that are dying and that don't serve you anymore, and maybe it's time to like look into that and see what is working and what is not working for you. And kind of, I know like you're overwhelmed at that moment, but sit down, cry it out, and write it down what is working for you, what is not working for you, and figure it out with a professional, because you can get through this. And the second thing, when the corona medication kind of messed with my situation, because my body had changed completely, my hormones had changed completely, my brain chemicals had changed absolutely differently. So I suffered like, I think 10 folds more with it. And because then I realized that I was suffering from terrible eating disorders, and I'm still recovering from that. And I was suffering with, I think, body dysmorphia, which is caused by eating disorders, and a very interesting form of bulimia, which I never knew I had, which is the obsession to kind of in any way get something out of your system. And so there was a lot, like, because corona had hit my gut and it hit my stomach. So the situation, so now my mind and my gut kind of like were like, they tied hands, and they're like, hey, we need attention. And I think it took a lot to embrace the fact that this is who, like the post-COVID weight gain, the lockdown weight gain, like, it's very difficult. I know that, because you're so like used to who you were, and that's also why you may have depression and may have suicidal thoughts is because you're attached to who you were. What if that isn't working for you anymore? What if that's exactly driving you to these heights of emotions? What needs addressing? Which parts of your life aren't working? So yes, that's something that I would definitely raise, like, definitely kind of bring into awareness about. And the other thing is the least talked about is the premenstrual dysphoric disorder. Again, this is something I had pre-COVID, but heightened post-COVID because, of course, my gut and, of course, your gut microbiomes and the chemicals in your brain work hand in hand. So PMDD is the extremes of PMS. So you kind of go through contractions that are almost like childbirth, but you don't get a period. So yes, so they're extreme. So it is exactly like how you're going to have a period. So you would have like these intense emotions, intense mood swings, and like like during that time, like I don't feel like you really have to keep yourself together all the time. It's fine, just find like a channel that is suitable for you to kind of let it flow. Like, and PMDD is many women don't even know that they have it, but it's PMS into 10. So you will have like strong ovulation pain. This is just one of my symptoms. It doesn't have to be applicable to everybody, but so you would have extreme ovulation pain. Like I can't even get up out of bed during those days because it'll cramp up. Like I feel like I'm like giving birth, because that's how, like, I don't know how people, I mean, like the pain of giving birth, but it's worse than a period. And then I have to go through an actual period after that. So it's twice the pain. And during that phase is when I discovered that I had to be, because it was so out of control. My emotions were heightened so much, and I did not have the tools. At least right now, where I am in my journey, I haven't assessed or I haven't gotten to the depth of like what is not working yet. Because right now I'm trying to accept the fact that this is it, this is the situation, but you're still moving forward. Like, like, yes, you have these things, but you are not these things. You are something else too. You are what you want to be. And yes, you have a disorder, but you're not your disorder. You are who you are. And yes, so I would say PMDD is another topic that is not spoken about, and it is worse than um, having, I mean, like, it's the least spoken, like, kind of things you are. So, and worse than a period, I would say. Like, at least period, but with like, but with premenstrual, you do not know. And to power through, work through that, and to kind of have multiple like businesses, and also be a part of an agency that I'm so grateful is super understanding. But being a woman and being on your own and running your own business and getting clients is, and having this is a lot. And sometimes it does get overwhelming, and that's fine. And so yeah, I mean, like they'll be surprised. Like anybody who looks at me right now would just be like, oh, she doesn't look depressed. I'm like, it doesn't have a face. That's the thing about depression. It doesn't have a face. It doesn't have a face. It doesn't have a form. And your cognition will work fine. Let me tell you that, like, it's okay, but there will be, unless you're under medication, and if maybe a couple of days where your cognition does get hit a bit and you need a little help, it is absolutely okay to ask for help during those phases. Just make sure you have the right amount of support.
That's so beautifully said, Kaveri. For how long have you been advocating for mental health?
I've actually started about, I think, 2-3 years ago, when I was really going through a lot, when I had to come back from the US after my studies. And it was extremely intense because I was extremely suicidal. I still have my moments too. Like last week I did, and it felt like I was losing everything. But I'm grateful I'm here now, because I had the right amount of support. the right amount of people who understood my situation. And also, I did feel my body shutting down physically. So I didn't, once you start feeling those things, like it is like quite, I think, it isn't a very comfortable experience, of course. But I did start this 2 years ago, and because I was going through something like this where I wasn't understood, and of course, like even um, living with something like depression is often taboo in India, and even with however forward or informed your family or your situation is, it's always going to be difficult because your experience is always going to be different each and every time. So I was all on my own, and so I had to figure this out all on my own. And I discovered I had depression all on my own. But again, that is why I took to art so much and took to running my own design practice so much, because every time I'm like, why am I here, I would get like a ping on my phone and be like, hey, we really like what you did, can you like do this again for us? And then I'm like, there we go, like like that's kept me alive. Like that's the you something that you make touches someone, and you exist and you're beautiful and your soul is beautiful here for a reason. And that voice kind of what was like just aching to come out. So the first time like I was off medication, which was 2 years ago, which is pre-lockdown, I had made a post on depression, and which was extremely like controversial, because there were a lot of positive and negative comments about it, saying that, how can you talk about something like that? You're never going to get business. Like, you're a woman, and like, people are not going to come to you thinking you're not in the sanest state of minds. But here's the thing, depression is not, it's really nothing to do with how you can perform at work. Yes, it does affect your performance levels, but it's also a system, it kicking in, saying that you need to rest a bit if you want to go on. And so like when my medication stopped, I was so happy. And then I realized that once the lockdown started, it kicked back again. So there, I do have alternating healing therapies as well. I don't always like rely on medication. Like right now, I'm gravitating towards more holistic healing and medication, like both two in one. I mean, it has to work together, because like like it depends on the level of intensity of your situation, intensity of your disorder, intensity of what you're actually going through. It's like you can't let's just put it this way. I know I'm gonna get like shot for saying this, but that's fine. But imagine you have you're refusing to take the vaccine, and you decide to kind of eat naturally that and develop a natural method to fight COVID. It's not going to happen. You can have your immunity builders, but you need to get vaccinated, guys. So that's the level. So in like it doesn't have to be like, for me it's extreme. This extremity is not applicable to each and every person. So this is my level, at least, which is pretty extreme. So I have to get medication, but my doctor is also very like forward. So he's aiming at like, we will wean off the dependency. So he works with my psychologist as well, who works also, and I also work with like like a yoga center, and and I've discovered sound healing, which is amazing. And and it's such a beautiful experience when you literally like, when you feel empty, and when you feel like you're going to lose it all, just remember that you're building a better version of yourself. There's something that is not like serving you at the moment, and that is fine. Analyze it, shed the skin. Snakes do it all the time. Why do you think they shed skin and get new skin? So go through it. It's going to be painful, but get all the support you need, and put the love back into yourself. Like, no, it doesn't have to make sense to anybody how you're going to do it. You can wear the wildest of makeup and run around the house. If it's going to make you happy, it's going to make your inner child happy, do it for that moment. But trust me, like if you feel like there is an impending doom, there isn't. You haven't found your answer yet, but be kind to yourself, and like be loving to yourself. Your inner child needs you right now at this moment. Think of you as a baby. Like, would you harm her? No, right? Like, you don't have to, and there's no reason for you to do it right now. That same little girl or little guy is there, and treat her. Like, if she needs help, help her. And if you feel like your friends aren't understanding it or they don't get it, that is absolutely normal. Many people aren't informed. They'll come from very good places and very good hearts, but you may not they may not know what to say. So I would say get a good therapist, get a very good safe space, and it's worth working towards that safe space. Even if you feel like you have like this hour of doom going on, form a safe space, and yeah, love yourself unconditionally. And ladies, if you're having a mental health day, or if anybody out there is having is suffering through mental health and struggling with any form of disorders, you can run your business, you can be anything that you want to be, because you are you and you are not your disorder, and you will get through this. Take it from me.
I love that. We have some comments from the audience
Sure.
on our YouTube channel. It takes so much courage to talk about this. Thank you for your words, Kaveri. Your voice is so powerful. Another comment from the audience: so much respect for you. You are a fighter. Keep going.
Thank you for your support. This means a lot to me. Thank you so much. And I hope I have helped you in any way that I can, or like inspired you in any way that I can, or touched your lives in like any way that I can. So thank you so much.
You
And
are,
it's an honor.
it is such an honor that you're here and you're sharing your journey so authentically with everyone. Honestly, you've dropped some true gems here, which is why I asked, how long have you been advocating for mental health? Because you're very articulate in the way you speak and the way you are expressing your thoughts. Like I feel very connected to you in this very moment. So thank you so much, Kavi. I
Likewise.
really appreciate you.
Likewise.
For the audience that is tuned in from India, if you don't mind sharing what the mental health process looks like for someone who's looking to access mental health professional support, because every country operates differently. In fact, over here in Canada, every province has a different system for how people can actually reach out to psychologists, psychiatrists. For example, over here, you need a referral to actually access a psychiatrist, right, from your general practitioner, your family doctor. So what does the process look like in Chennai?
Well, honestly, your family. Like, let's start with breaking that stigma. Once they accept that you're sick, which is uh, extremely difficult. Some families are lucky, but they need to and they need to first accept that there's something wrong with their child, which was very difficult, at least in my case. And I had to. You can get you can get hold of a really good psychiatrist. There are many good psychiatric services right here, and right now they're building, and like it is very much accessible here in Chennai at least. And they also the best combination is when you find, in my opinion, a psychologist who works with a psychiatrist. So but I think breaking the family barrier is step one, because you will always get access to mental health services, and it's about the right mental health services that you need to kind of work with.
And are they affordable?
They're very much affordable, yes, 100%. If they know where you're from, they're very, very affordable. They right now, post COVID is making, I think, a lot of psychiatrists out there are actually making a lot of accommodations for young adults, even people who can't afford, mental health services. They're making themselves accessible, which is pretty great. So, like, I mean, like in Chennai, it is accessible, but it's getting, I think, resonating with the right psychiatrist and the right psychologist, that you need a combination of. Like, they need to know what is happening, because like if your system is broken, you need a system that you need a safe space that would be like one thing I would tell everybody: keep a safe space. But it's open in Chennai. Like it's very, very much. You don't need anything. You can just go up there and then kind of say, "This is what I'm going through, and can you help me?" And they will refer services that they will. So first, it goes through a psychologist who can first tackle, okay, maybe can we do behavioral therapy or CBT, or alternative healing therapies that will help you. And if that doesn't work, and if it needs more support, they will refer you to a psychologist. But it first starts, a psychiatrist. So first it does start with a psychologist who will assess you, because nobody here wants to pump you with medications, because I think every single doc over here is informed that their aim, at least the ones I've come across, that their aim is to not depend on anything. So like at least most of the docs that I've come across have come from that spectrum, but it's a psychologist first. Like you need to be assessed through a therapist whether you do need that kind of support. And even actually surprisingly, gynects are the ones who pick it up. So they do suggest therapies as well. So that's something I found like super surprised. Like I was surprised by it myself.
Well, thank you so much for sharing that with us, Kaveri. I'm sure that adds value to everyone that is watching, just so they know that it is easy to access professional services. But I love how you stressed over that it starts at home, that you have to break the barrier at home, because I truly believe that community support is crucial in maintaining positive well-being, mental health. So thank you so much for sharing that. All right, so we're coming to the end of our interview today. I know 30 minutes is not enough to have this discussion, but let's bring you back on our next season so we can continue this conversation forward.
Absolutely.
As we wrap up today's episode, we're going to end with a quick fire round where I ask you some questions and you, whatever comes to your mind, you just answer it. Are you ready?
Yes.
Okay, perfect. So the first question is, could you explain what recovery is to you in 5 words?
Kindness, patience, process, and self-love. How many words is that? 24?
4. You have one. Sorry?
I have one more. And happiness.
That's beautiful. I love that. Okay, so the next question is, what is the one book, perhaps a podcast or a movie, that motivated you during your recovery journey? On those days when you don't feel 100%, what is the one thing that you watch, read, or see that actually inspires you to try?
It's not one book, but it's my favorite. It's Mr. Carl Jung. He is the reason as to right now I'm listening to the Red Book, but he's absolutely brilliant. And another book that I would recommend is The Mind-Gut Connection as well. But Jung has saved me through a lot of days. So if there's that one author, one person, one psychologist, it's Mr. Carl Gustav Jung.
Love it. Okay, what's the one change you'd like to see in our current systems?
Normalizing mental health days and normalizing taking medication for mental health. I know it's one, but I'm making it 2.
I actually love that. Good job, Kaveri. All right, so if you had a mic and the entire world could hear you right now, what would you say to them? One sentence.
You have a disorder, you are not your disorder. Keep going.
Love it. The last question, where can people find you to support you and your initiatives?
They can find me on Instagram. I would drop my handle. I don't know how to drop my handle. Do I have to drop my handle here?
You can just verbally say it out loud.
Oh, my second name's like really difficult to spell though. So it's Kaveri Zachariah. You can find me on their channel. So I have Reach Out has my Instagram handle. You can support me, you can follow me, and love to see you guys and engage with you there too.
Beautiful. So if you are looking to connect with her, you can reach out to us. Either send us an email at info@reachouttogether.com, or you can check out our social media accounts, which is at ROT Ambassador. ROT stands for Reach Out Together. So we're coming to the end of our episode today. Before we wrap up, do you know what this stands for? This is our logo at Reach Out Together. Do you know what this means?
I can see that this is the shape of the brain and there's a heart in it.
Oh,
Am I right?
Yeah, so it's basically two fists put together. In American Sign Language, ASL,
Okay.
this means together.
Okay.
So the instructor or a person would put their palms together, go in a circle, and that's how people would know that the person is saying, do it together or come together.
It's lovely.
And
I didn't know that.
now you do. That's exactly why we love to tell people about this, because it has such a deep meaning behind
Yes.
it. And we use the color orange because orange in color healing therapy, it brings up feelings of warmth and happiness. And our vision at
Yes,
Reach Out Together
it
is
does.
to heal the world together, conversation by conversation, community by community, which is why we're very grateful for you to take the time today, join us on our Mental Health Impact Series show, and talk so openly. Like, you were fabulous.
Thank you so much. I was just being myself.
I think that's how people resonate the most and connect with you.
Because we are all human at the end of the day. It's okay. We all go through things and we're in this together. Like, I'm gonna do that now.
I love it. We are in this together. Thank you once again, Kaveri.
Thank you so much for having me. Really appreciate it.
It is our honor. It's our honor. And to everyone else that's tuned in, thank you, thank you, thank you. It means so much to us that you are taking the time to tune in. You are encouraging these real conversations that can save lives, that can help people in your community. We run a free of cost program called the Resource Support Program, where if you know someone that is not feeling good, and they're looking to access mental health supports, but they're finding it hard to do so, reach out to us via email at resource@reachouttogether.com. We have a team that will do the research for you depending on what you're experiencing, and will send you custom resources, because we just want you to know that you're not alone in this. We are in this together, and heal together, rise together. So reach out. We want to help and support. Thank you once again.
Thank you so much. I should say
Pleasure. Yes, and we will I love it. We will
I'm gonna keep doing this.
Love it. Keep telling people about it. That's how we're going to spread awareness. We're in this together.
Yes, of course.
Perfect. Until next time, next week.
Thank you for having me. Have a good day. Thank
Thank
you guys for watching. Thank you so much.
Such a pleasure. Bye for now.